We are here today for an occasion, an event, the launch of our new website, and to tell you about it, to tell you about this project, I have to go back to when I first came to St. Kitts. Don't worry, I'm not going to drag it all out. It was September 1981. In January 1982, I was working as a teacher at what was then the convent school. We had Roy Augier's book for the upper classes, history book, and there was the Carter and Digby book for the lower classes, which wasn't all that good. Those books all of them were Caribbean history, but they were so colonial, I found it very hard to teach kids from them. The Augier book was not. It was just right. It just wasn't illustrated. My husband, Fidel O'Flaherty, introduced me to St. Kitts history while he was working on his dissertation. His enthusiasm for certain aspects of it, he didn't cover all, inspired me so that I wanted to know more about it. At that time, the books that were available were Kathleen Manchester's Historic Heritage, which was going out of print, couldn't get a hold of it, and Sir Probyn's Historic Basseterre, which had just been printed a few years before. Both of them were local history, but were not broad enough to be used in schools. From my own school days, I know how important it is to start with local history. It surrounds you and it's part of your life. But you only miss it when it's no longer there. Then you are full of regret for the loss of what was once there. So I promised myself that one day I will write a history of St. Kitts that could be used in schools. That has not happened yet, might not happen at all. But in the meantime, I had accumulated a filing cabinet full of notes, mostly about queries that we helped to research at the National Archives. Today there are options besides books. We no longer have to buy a book to find information. A lot of it is online and free for all to use. Moreover, it is very easy to update online material. History is not a static piece of information about the past, as we used to think it was. It is constantly being rewritten and revised, not only because new information is showing up, but also because there are different points of view. We therefore decided that it was time to make our research available to the public and to the schools. We started with Basseterre Past and Present in 2010. That website dealt with Basseterre only. Since then, we have had queries about different estates, which we helped research, and we thought that it was about time to share that too. So now we have Historic St. Kitts. There are still gaps in the stories, but we are hopeful that eventually there will be enough information to fill in those gaps. Although some of our stories deal with planters and politicians, they are not the only focus. We have tried to cover the lives of the enslaved in a way that shows them as human beings with emotions rather than cogs in the plantation machinery. We have looked for people who contributed to the community, whether it is through music, sports, cooking, what have you. We found stories about organizations designed to help the worker who had little to fall back on, and customs that are still part of our everyday life. Wherever we could, we added the dimensions to the stories by connecting audiovisuals to them. SKNIS has helped us tremendously with videos. We will continue to do this to make sure that as much ground is covered as possible. We hope we have highlighted the values of our stories and traditions, and that we have given the Ministry of Education a useful tool for the teaching of our history. We hope that the information already on the website will encourage a sense of belonging and pride, that it will encourage further explorations, and that our stories will be confidently shared with our visitors.
Stay up to date with news, programs, and activities of the government with SKNIS. Like us on Facebook. Listen to us on SoundCloud. Follow us on Twitter. And watch our videos on YouTube. Connect with us today. SKNIS, St. Kitts and Nevis Information Service.